You hear me okay?
I
Just to
hear you.
confirm? All right, very, very good. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get started here today with Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. We've got a very special guest today, somebody that just has taken this business and really done some great things to it, and in a very, very competitive market. Nora Avalos is joining us from Queens, New York. Help me welcome her today to our group, Mastermind with Neil. Woo! All right. Good job, Nora. We're very, very happy to have you here. Absolutely. Looking forward to it and kind of hearing your story. If you wouldn't mind, could you just take a few minutes and kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of when you started, where you came from, how you got started in real estate and got started, let's say, in where you're at, and maybe even got connected with Mike Ferry and all of that kind of stuff.
Sure. I came here very young because I lost my mom when I was 16 and was like having no mom, no dad, no home. So I came to live with a brother that I had here. After 2 years of being here, maybe even a year and a half, I started as a secretary in a real estate. It was a very, very small office. Like I think was 350 square feet, the office, the total office. And they had me prospecting as a secretary. They had me cleaning the office. They had me doing all the secretarial work. And I keep pushing the agents, go to work, until one day I said, let me go and get the license. And I got the license. And then I moved to another office. And in every office I went to work, I became the #1 agent. But most of those offices, the agents didn't make that much. So that was not a big thing. I started renting and started selling without being trained or knowing anything. And maybe do 5% sales, 95% rentals. And at the end of the year, I was the top selling agent and top rental agent. I said, something is wrong here because there are many agents doing this full-time selling. So I went to another office that I felt like it could train me. So I went to a Prudential office. The Prudential office was the first one that gave me a tape from my Ferry. And immediately I heard how he talks. I said, I want to learn to talk like this person. But the tape was already with very bad sound, but I repeated and repeated, and I love it. I remember he said, if you want to be the #1 agent, you should have the #1 car. You should have the best clothes, and you should have already a home. At that point, I did not have a home. I was still renting. And I negotiated a house for one of the clients. The client backed out, and I told my husband, this is the house we're going to buy with no money. And then my husband said, can we afford it? I said, of course we can. I'm going to be the #1. And I bought the house, I bought the Mercedes, and I bought a lot of nice things the same month. And that was in 1990 when the market went down. It was really tough. But even though I became the #1 agent of that office too. And the following January, they went to Prudential convention, but they knew with the house, with the Mercedes, with everything, I was up to here on payments. So they didn't even invite me to go to the convention. But like a week before, I said, no, I got to go. And I went and I met my Ferry. I don't think he knows this or he remembers this, but you can tell him. I remember I went to him, almost crying. And I told him, you told me to get the best car, the house, the best clothes, but I didn't have no more training. I had made it, but it's been very hard. And I didn't have no more training from him. And then at that time, Kathy was his secretary. He told Kathy, gave her everything I have. And she can pay me in a year. But I did not get it because I was there with one of my coworkers, and they all, Nora, we cannot afford it. Please lend it to us. They kept it, and I didn't get it for 2 years. So,
oh my gosh.
But that was the breakthrough of my career. I remember when I was on the convention, like a file on my listing sold, and then from there off, I took off. So that was my starting with my ferry.
Right. Excellent. So before that, how were you doing business? How were you generating business?
It was like I remember my office didn't have no exclusives. Everybody had only open listings. I remember I used to look the multiple listing or the open listings, and I used to put advertisement myself. And I went to preview the houses of the others and start to sell them. And that's how I did. And then when I start to train with my ferry, that's when I start to change from selling agent to listing agent. And it took me about 18 months to make the transition. And since then, I'm most listing agent.
So what was the transition? What were the 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you had to do to go from being a buyer's agent to a listing agent for you at that time? Nora, about what year was that?
1993.
Okay. So what did it take for you to make that transition? And I would suspect New York is very competitive market, correct?
It is.
Yeah. Maybe one of the most competitive in the world.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I start to learn the scripts because not having a good English and not knowing what to say was even more difficult. And I had always been not good. I don't have good orientation. So every time I went to a house, I got lost going and coming back. But having the scripts, it helped me to start to get on track. I think that was the main thing. And starting to prospect. When I was selling agent, I hardly prospect. So starting to prospect, learning the scripts. And I remember I got to the office very early so I can do the paperwork, and stayed very late to do paperwork because I didn't have an assistant yet. And during the day, I went to the appointments. So I think those were the 3 main changes.
Awesome. How about previewing property? Was that important at the time, or?
I went to preview. New York is different. Most of the houses are not vacant, and they don't leave you a key or lock boxes. Not many had lock boxes. But I called to get the appointment. I went to preview them. And a lot of times they did not give me the appointment to preview, but I went to see it by outside. If I saw the seller outside, I said, I'm looking at your house because I may have a buyer. May I see it? And I went to see it. But I did that a lot, the preview.
Got it. Perfect. Excellent. Good stuff. When you met Mike and started shifting to be that listing agent, about how many transactions were you doing at the time?
I think when I moved to this office, when I learned a little bit more about my firm in 1993, I was doing already about 40 transactions per year.
Okay. And most of that business was buyer sides.
I will say so.
Yeah.
At least 80 to 90%.
Okay.
I cannot remember exactly, but most was buyers.
So were all the buyers speaking your native language, or was,
No.
So
Actually, at that time, when I moved to 1993 to another office that followed my ferry, was most of the people that work in that office, they were Jewish. And everybody was forecasting it. Hispanic and Jewish doesn't match. And the neighborhood was Jewish. And the first year I became the number 1. I would say was the prospecting. And also, I will say people are smart. They know when somebody is honest, they want to do the best thing for them, and is a person that will deliver what he promised. A lot of the agents in that office were after sellers for 2 years that I got them on my first few months with them. So I think it's just working and doing your best. People appreciate that.
right. And so the language, even though it wasn't the same, you didn't let the language be an issue, it sounds like?
No, I never had like that I have such a heavy accent, even so many years on this country. But at that time was not only the accent, even the English was worse.
So you didn't even understand the words.
When I started to go to my ferry, I wrote everything that I thought I understood. After 10 years, I started to realize everything I wrote was wrong. But I was happy and I keep working and I got excited, but I understood everything wrong, but I was happy and I was making the business. So.
Well, good. So now you got it turned around and you got it all right?
Yeah, now
Mostly
I
right?
still have room for improvement, a big one, but better. Now I think I understand most of it.
So in 93, you were doing 40 transactions. Almost all of those were buyer sides. You started shifting gears. Took you a year and a half to shift gears. When you did shift gears, 95, 96, 97, how many listings were you starting to take then?
I don't remember that.
Okay, that's all right.
I don't remember that. But I know what I had done always good is that I am very good doing my research and pricing them right. I know in this market, most people having bidding wars. I had always had them.
You always had bidding.
I always had bidding wars.
Because you were able to explain the market.
Price them correctly.
Right. Even though you couldn't speak English. You could
I remember a Chinese guy, I left him a message and he called me and he said, I didn't understand anything that you said in the message, but I like you. And I got the listing.
Exactly. So let's fast forward to today. I'm not quite sure of how you're completely structured, but do you do your own listings and sales also?
I do my listings, yes.
Okay.
I have a small team, but I'm the only listing agent.
Okay. And how many listings are you taking a year now? More or less.
About 60, I think.
60 now. Okay. Okay. And then with the rest of the team that you have, how many deals are you doing a year?
Last year, 88.
88.
And this year, between close and pending, I have 33.
33 in the first 2.5 months.
And I was sick all December and all January.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I had the COVID twice. And
you are definitely an overachiever, aren't you? Most of us didn't have COVID at all, and you took it twice. Good for you.
I was one after the other. Like in 2 weeks, I got it twice. But it really screwed up my blood. My blood, I had no energy. I couldn't do anything. So almost for 2 months, I didn't work. No December, no January. Okay.
So you've come back from that with closed and pending so far 30-something deals.
At this moment, yes.
Yeah.
33.
And what's the goal for this year based on that?
This year, I want to close 96, but I always also count that I want to leave 20 pending. So I want to do 116 by the end of the year between close and pending.
Close and pending. Okay, good.
And I want to close 1.4 and between close and pending 1.8. Last year, I did almost 1.3.
You need 1.4 to live in Queens, don't you?
I think more.
You need more. I know.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
I know. Just in car fare, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's fantastic. Good for you. So where is your business coming from now? Are you getting it from past clients fee? Are you getting it from expireds?
I couldn't believe when I did the source of my business last year, because I always feel anything that I do that I can do better. I remember when I had Steve Powers as my coach, and always he tells me, Nora, you're doing great. You always feel I should do better. Not that I can, but I should do better. Okay. So I thought I was not doing a good job with my past clients and centers of influence. When I did my numbers, they were over 60% coming from past clients and centers of influence. And the other part comes from expires, the web, signs, but the majority was centers of influence. But I still feel I don't do as good as I should.
So how many people in your database now? Your past client sphere database.
The past client, I will say about 700 to 800 because I keep cleaning it up.
Okay. Got it. So how do you stay in touch with your past client in sphere?
Very good. They hear from me by calls, either they respond or not, I leave a message, but at least 4 times per year. But you know what? Right now, some people don't even have an answering machine or a voicemail. So sometimes you cannot leave a message.
Right.
But I also send 4 to 6 mailers, okay? In actual mail. And I send about, so that's for maybe another 24 touches by text or by email.
Okay, so email, text, mailers is 24 touches?
Minimum.
So is that including the 4 phone calls or plus the 4 phone calls?
Plus.
So you're running at about 30 touches a year?
I would say so.
Got it. Okay, excellent. So that's a lot of customer service. It's a lot of, do you come up with new things to say?
Yeah, we had to come up with new things to say. Like right now, we are putting a flyer, a postcard that it says, how you think about how to clean your house for the spring. Here is a list. And then always saying, you're looking to know how much is your house or looking to sell here, always closing for the business, but always giving a different value. About 2 weeks ago, I sent the statistics. How many we have available, how many are selling, and a year ago, comparing with a year ago, what's the difference? When the market has been so hot everywhere, not in Queens, Brooklyn, or Long Island. Long Island, yes. I work Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. But Brooklyn and Queens was not hot because everybody was leaving the city, not necessarily selling. They were going out and trying other places and then decided they wanted to sell. So we were not going crazy on the prices. I was still getting bidding war because that's who I am, but not the majority. But now the market is starting to get hot.
So that's an interesting twist on the story. You know, for us, tomorrow's the 2nd anniversary of the lockdown for COVID 2020. I don't know what day they shut New York down, but it
was in March. I don't remember, but it's the same day than
for us. It's March 18th, which is tomorrow.
Same date.
Right. And so when that happened to you, you know, I mean, you've had some interesting things happen to you in your life, and you know, to shake you up, certainly, and it doesn't seem like anything shakes you up, certainly for very long. It does, but not for very long, I would suspect. So what happened? So what happened then? I mean, how did you react to it? Did you stop? Did you go? How did it?
Never stop. It's extremely hard. I didn't want to evade to come home to work. I said, I will stay at the office working, and say, they're going to put a penalty to you. Okay, so I came to work from the house. It was terrible because I'm not good at technology. The computer didn't work, the iPad didn't work, the printer didn't work. It was extremely hard. I think in 6 months, I changed 5 printers because the paper get stuck. I didn't know how to use Zoom. I remember I had my daughter teaching me remotely how to use Zoom, but my head sometimes couldn't understand anything, and I had to say, stop. I'm so stressful that I cannot understand anymore. Tomorrow we continue the class. it was very hard, but as soon as I got a little bit, like I would say within the first 2 to 3 weeks that I keep trying and trying and trying, I was practicing on Zoom maybe 2 and 3 times per day. And I started to do the presentations over Zoom. And I did get several listings over Zoom that I never met the seller, never met the house, and we got it sold and closed without ever meeting them.
Fantastic.
It was very hard.
You did a lot of this by yourself. I mean, by yourself, meaning with your family or whoever could help you, but the brokerage never really jumped in and helped you in that way, did they?
My brokerage is me. I have an office, is me. My team is my office.
Got it. Okay, so you're your own brokerage now.
Yeah.
How many years?
I had been already since 2006.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, so you're the broker. You couldn't help you.
It was very hard, very hard, very hard, very hard, very hard, very hard.
However,
but the practice was the one that helped me.
That's what I want to speak to for a second. It didn't matter because you just stayed with it until you got it, correct?
Yes. And something that I want to say is since the pandemic, I never went back to the office. I stayed at home. My assistant went to the office, but I decided that even I didn't want to come to work from the office, from home, I learned that I'm more efficient home because I interrupt my assistant less and they interrupt me less. And I just ordered the market analysis and send them emails or text and tell them what to do, but I just stay home. But staying home doesn't mean I'm getting up later and not getting dressed up. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the mornings before the pandemic. Now I get up at 4:30.
Okay.
Half an hour more. But it's working harder because usually I work until I go to bed 8:30 to 9:30. But I'm trying to start to get control on that too and stop at 7:30.
Okay.
But all these 2 years, I had been at 7 o'clock. I'm ready to role play, dressed up like if I was going out to the office. Not one day I stayed on bed.
Wait.
Not one day
Nora,
I didn't get ready.
Nora, I mean, you're doing a lot of business. You're focused. It's your business. You could stay home. You could not prospect. But what you're telling me is you role play every day.
Yes, and sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Sometimes I schedule it to role play minimum 2 times, but life gets in between, and sometimes my role play partners cannot make it. Things happen, but I do that. I should role play minimum 5 times. And when I don't, like when I got sick and I didn't role play for almost 2 months, of course, if I start to call sellers, they may not notice, but I notice myself that I'm not being as good. So I need to go back to role play and role play and role play.
That's fantastic. On that note, if you're ever looking for a guaranteed role play partner from 8 in the morning to 9 in the morning Pacific time, we guarantee you'll have a role play partner even if I role play with you. Okay.
Thank you, Neil.
So that goes. We invite anyone that's on this call to be able to do that. In fact, Robert is going to put the link in the chat box for you to be able to connect on that. So if anybody wants to do that,
appreciate it.
Thank you. So your business is coming from multiple different areas, multiple different things. How do you see changing your business, or are you looking to change your business as the market changes and you're getting hotter, but quite frankly, the rest of America, because the interest rate changes and et cetera, seems to be softening a little bit. What are you going to do different, Nora, if anything?
I have been preparing for all these last 2 years how to become more efficient. And I got 2 virtual assistants, and they had been the best assistants ever. best assistants ever. So what I'm getting them to do is to check my numbers. Like I get the numbers from Vulcan and from RedX, and they even check it before they send it to me with people finders. So when they see the three sources have the same number, they mark it down, and that's the highest probability. That's the owner's number. Because for every lead, sometimes I get 8 to 12 numbers, but most of them are wrong, or most of them they are tenants, because I do a lot multifamilies and commercials. So sometimes it was very boring calling and nobody picking up, or just keep getting the wrong person. So I'm getting them to really narrow down to the numbers that I may have the highest probability than that be the seller. So I'm getting to that. Yesterday was my best day ever. That from the few expires that now I'm getting very few. It have been days that I'm getting 2, up to 3 months ago. And at the end of the month, I was getting over 200 expires. That just to show you how it has changed in the last couple of months. So yesterday I got 10 fresh owners that I was able to speak. I always speak to a lot more, but they are not the owners. So I do 25 to 30 contacts, but it takes a lot to find those.
So talk to me about that a little bit. I spend a lot of time, effort, and energy myself making sure that we have the right phone numbers from the right companies. Are you having both companies work against each other or with each other?
No, the Vulcan and RedX, no, I pay both.
Okay.
My virtual assistant merged them in an Excel sheet, so she sees which numbers both of them have. And then she checks with people finders. And then if Vulcan has it, RedX has it, and people finders has it, that's a very high probability that the seller. I call those first. I go through all my leads, calling those first, the ones that are marked down. And then I come back and call everybody.
Brilliant. Do you ever, have you tried Arch Telecom, or you're happy with those 3?
I may try Arch, like I'm open-minded. I used to have RedX, Vulcan, and Lamboys. I just dropped Lamboys because tracking all of these, they were not giving me no extra leads or no extra numbers.
Got it.
So
okay.
I dropped that one. So I'm open to whatever I can have extra.
Yeah. I'm gonna play with that a little bit. I think that feels very, very interesting. We've been finding that Arch Telecom tends to have
the best numbers.
Yeah, but that's subjective, and it might have different parts of the country. But that for us, this is no commercial for them. I mean, I don't get paid for doing this, but my pay comes from helping my agents get better phone numbers.
The other thing that I'm starting just to think about it, and I think I had to work. How do I get that? Through a training that I got on leadership. What they are saying is, right now the baby boomers are the ones that are going to start to sell. So they are retiring, and sometimes the kids don't want to take over. You want to sell, Neil?
No, but I am a baby boomer.
So I'm going to work as always, everybody, but I'm going to put in a special effort in them too. So I think we get along.
No, that's a great
But I
idea.
always work everybody.
That's a great idea. Perfect. Good stuff. Okay, so do you mind answering a few questions right now?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so questions for Nora. We had a couple things come in the chat box, but if you have a question for Nora, raise your hand or shout out. Go ahead, Fred.
Nora, Fred Salas, good to see you again.
Hi, Fred.
Hi. What are the number 1 or 2 top themes that you have when you call your past clients in your sphere? your go-to in your toolbox when there's really nothing to talk about, but you haven't talked to them and it's time to speak with them? What's your one or two top things?
Usually I go with whatever is happening on the market. Like prices are going up, prices are going down, interests are going up, interests go down. But the other thing is giving them something to value. I just had a meeting with my insurance guy, and he told me to make sure to take pictures of all the jewelry. And if they are expensive, put insurance on it. And then I tell them, have you done that? Because if you have valuables, a lot of people don't have insurance, something wrong happened, they could lose all of that. So also tell them what are the plans on real estate this year? What had changed in your family? Because some families are getting bigger, some families are getting smaller. Had you had plans to move to a bigger house, a smaller house, out of the state? And when it's also coming like a holiday, ask them, what are the plans for the Valentine's? What do you plan? What are you going to do for your husband? Just that, and then close. Very short.
Just a follow-up, what are the biggest challenges that you face when it comes to the monotonous boredom of calling these people?
That's what I'm doing to get the right number, because it is very boring calling and nobody picking up, or just getting the wrong person to pick up the phone, the wrong number, the kid, the grandma. So always I keep my dream board in front of me. And I want to do a lot of good things. I like to have a good life. I like to also give back to the world. So that's what is helping me to keep up. I love to sleep. If I sleep as I like to, I wouldn't get up until 11 o'clock. I don't remember when was the last time that I get up at 11 o'clock. I have been getting up 4 to 4:30. I forgot how many years. It's not what I like to do, but if I stayed on the bed, I cannot get what I want. So I always remember that. Now, my alarm rings at 4:25. I immediately thank God, just pray a little, and 4:30 rings again. I don't even think about it. Just stand up, get up. And then I go to meditate, do my exercises, and keep going. I have a very long rituals in the morning and rituals in the evening.
Right.
That's why I had to get up early.
Thank you,
Thank
Nora.
you.
Great question, Fred. Sylvia.
I think Josie was ahead of me.
Okay.
I think.
Thank you.
I'll end up first.
Hi,
All
Nora.
right.
Hi, Josie.
Yes, we have a mutual friend. So you role play. You said sometimes, how many hours a day do you role play, and what are you focusing your role play on? The objection
Very good.
handlers or
Good
expired?
question. I do all. I role play handling objections over the phone when we prospect. I role play handling objections at the presentation, and I also role play the presentation. The days that I be able to role play 3 times, it will be an hour and a half. Sometimes it's only one. It's about half an hour, 2 hours.
Thank
It's
you.
20 to 30 minutes each session.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Right. Excellent, Nora. Thank you. Good question, Josie. And Sylvia.
Yes, Josie, thank you so much for sharing. It's lovely to see you. It's Sylvia Morris from Toronto. I have a question for you. It was great to get to know you, listen to you. How long, Nora, do you keep your leads after you get them?
Very good question. Oh, yeah, you had to know me. I don't know, you remember when Mike told us you had to call them until they die or they released? I did that literally. I remember, I think I did call people over 100 times. I think I got people to list with me after 10 years. I'm not proud of that. I started to think, and then Mike started to say 3 times. And then I said, I was used to call so many times. I said 3 times is too little. I start to do 3 times in the morning, 3 times at noon, 3 times in the afternoon, 3 times on the evening. Now I call them 2 to 3 times. If they don't pick up or they don't talk, I send them a text, and I start a campaign that they get a text or an email from me every so often, every other 2 weeks, every other week. And some people call, some people don't. I'm looking for the ones that call me or that I get, because after 3 times, I call them, but not every day.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much.
That's
Nice to see
important,
you.
important information. Thank you. Great question, Sylvia. Thank you, Nora. Good stuff. All right, who else has a question for Nora? Look in the back page here.
Neil, I think I can ask you. Hey, Nora, this is Luis Torres, and I am in Connecticut, and I'm from Colombia, by the way, too. Anyhow, Nora, you're talking about your rituals that you have in the mornings and then in the afternoon. What are those rituals? Because I heard you that you usually work from 4 a.m. pretty much till 7 p.m. So what do you do?
Okay. When I get up, I prepare for me a big, like this, glass of water, hot water with lemon and ginger. And then I go to meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. And then I do exercises for about half an hour. And then I go to take my shower. And then I do affirmations and intentions with a role play, with a accountability partner at 5:30 in the morning. So the intentions are very quick, like what do I want to do today? Where I am to, how many listings do I have? How many pendings do I have? How many closed do I have? How much money I had closed? How much money do I have between close and pending? And we also say how much I have on the bank and how much I wanted to have. Now, anything that I already invested, I don't count that I don't have that money already. Like I could have 300,000, but if I invested 250, I only have 50,000 left.
Okay.
Okay. So we say that every day, and we also do affirmations. It takes us about 15 minutes to do the affirmations, the intentions, and to say, where are we standing today?
Okay.
After that, I hang up and I listen to Darren Hardy, the daily message that he gives. And then I listen to the Bible for about 10, 15 minutes. And then I listen to a book until my hair is ready, my makeup is ready, and dressed up. And then I go to my prospecting area, 7 o'clock in the morning, I start to role play. And at 8 o'clock, I start to prospect. But I start role playing in the morning, 7:30. But 20 to 7, 20 to 8, I had to be on my prospecting area. And what I do is I pray. I ask God to help me get to the people that needs me, and they are happy that I called them. So I pray for about 10 minutes, and I also look at my goals and I visualize them. I want to do 25 contacts. I want to set 2 appointments. I want to get 88 listings this year. I want to close 96 deals, close 1. I repeat all of that. 1.4 million, 1.8 with the close and pending. And when I finish doing all of that, that takes me about 20 minutes. I start to prospect. But I don't start prospecting until I do my praying and I look and review my goals.
Oh, that's beautiful. What about in the afternoon, Nora? I'm so sorry.
In the evening, you mean the evening?
Yes.
The evening is I clean up my prospecting area and I had to clean up my desk. That's 2 different ones. And I had to leave my tally sheet ready. And my tally sheet, the top part says, the more I prospect, the more money I make. And then what is my intention for the next day? How many hours of prospecting, how many contacts, how many appointments I want to set. And again, I write down how many active listings do I have? How many pendings do I have? How many do I want to have? My goal is always to have 20 more. So let's say if I had 13 listings, I want to have 33 listings. If I have 18 pendings, I want to have 48 pendings.
Okay.
And then I say, how many had I closed and how much money is that? How much between close and pending and how much money is that if I have appointments during the day, and how much money I have on the bank and how much do I want to have. All of that, it doesn't take me 3 minutes to fill out. So I do that every evening, and I also print out my schedule for the next day. I also leave my clothes ready for the next day, and all my accessories, my shoes, everything, even if I don't have appointments, I leave everything ready for the next day. And then I want to start to go to bed. I'm still not there, but I used to go to bed 10:30 to 11, even I was getting up at 4:30. Right now, I'm between 9 and 9:30. I want to get it to 8:30 to be on bed.
Okay. Thank you, Nora. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good, great question, Louis. Great answer, Nora. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Nora?
Nora, can you show us your dream board?
My dream board with the background, I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
You have to turn the background off, Nora.
Let me see. Let me get the dream board. Let me turn off the background. I told you I'm not good on technology. Now you're making me improvise here. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Nora, you have to go to stop video, where it says stop video. Hay una flechita para arriba. Espíchala. And then you're going to see choose virtual background.
A video?
En
No,
la
I don't know
parte,
how to do it. What I can do is, because my dream board, I move it. I change the position so I don't stop seeing it. But what I can do is I can.
Nora, we can't hear you. Nora, you know what we'll do? Nora,
Good job, Fred.
What
Nora,
I can do, what I can do is I can send it to Neil and they can send it to you.
we will post it, okay?
Okay?
So good job. Just take a picture of it and send it, okay?
Okay.
And we'll
Okay,
get
so-
it posted there. All right,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Really, really good.
Yeah,
Um,
Nora,
ahead.
how do you do your hair and your makeup so well? You look fantastic.
Thank you.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing. I need some help.
It takes me an hour to do the hair and the makeup.
So you don't go out to get it done? You do it yourself?
I used to go out to get it done. Because
Okay,
the pandemic, I had to learn to do it. But
Got it.
for years, I never did it myself.
interesting.
But I had to learn because the beauty salons were closed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Nora.
I have
let me
a
ask-
question, Neil.
Go ahead, Robert.
So, Nora, question for you is, we obviously in LA have a lot of people where English is their first, second, third language, heavy accents. And for those people who say that their accent is, one of the reasons that they're having trouble, how did you overcome that to not let that be a problem?
I think, and I always think that when I see somebody with a second language and they don't speak, say for example, somebody that is from this country and they try to speak Spanish, I like them because they are trying harder. They have something more. And even if they speak it not well, I compliment them. And to me, it's an asset that the other person has. So I feel like sometimes people could feel the same with me. I'm very good to people. I'm always thinking maybe I'm good to them, they will be good to me too. So I feel like for some people, then it's hard for them to get the accents. They have to pay more attention. So it's actually good because they cannot be thinking or looking everywhere else. It's good that they had to be more with me, but I had to also feel them. If I see they are having trouble, I tell them, don't worry. If it's hard for you to understand me, tell me. I repeat it and I go slowly and speak slowly. But you don't know how many people I speak that they don't speak English, neither Spanish. Because I have people from everywhere. In New York, you have people from India, from China, from Russia, from Italy. And a lot of them, they don't speak English, neither Spanish. But the Italians, I try to speak to them in Spanish and I go slow and they understand. The Chinese, that I don't know how I do it, but I understand them perfectly and they understand me perfectly. My assistant laugh a lot because I know, I don't know how you do it. I don't know neither, but we understand each other perfectly.
Very good. Excellent. Nora, newer agent, needs to ramp it up. They've got to make money. They got to do it quickly. Got a couple of ideas for them?
Definitely learn the scripts, but really put time to the scripts. If you are new, you should put 4 to 6 hours per day just learning the scripts. And the other time going and previewing and making phone calls. But it doesn't matter making a lot of phone calls if you don't know what to say, or you say it wrong, or the tonality is wrong, or the upswing is wrong. It's so many, or the energy is low. We have to have so many little things to really do our job. If I know the scripts, but I'm not saying it with intensity, with energy, with enthusiasm, it doesn't matter. They all have to be together. The energy, enthusiasm, intensity, but the words too. So learn the scripts and go and do a lot of previews and prospect a lot. They're going to make money.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the last thing, what would you say your superpower is?
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Enthusiasm and persistence.
And that 90 million watt smile. You're the
Boy,
best.
I'm very
All right,
persistent.
everyone, unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves, please. Let's give her a giant round of applause.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. That's phenomenal.
Really good,
Thank you.
really good, Nora. We appreciate this to no end. It's fantastic. It really, 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 really is. We're gonna go to a segment that we do right now, which is kind of what we call "What Did We Learn?" You're welcome to join us or to stay with us and hear what people
Thank you.
learn.
But I had to go to a listing presentation.
No. You told me you had a hard stop. I want to respect that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And when we get this recording, Robert will send it out to you again.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you. Let's give her a
appreciate
big hand. Nora Avalos.
Thank you.
For,
If I didn't have the appointment, I would have stayed, but I have.
No.
I'm not
We get
going
it.
to an appointment. I'm going to take a listing.
Oh, there we go.
I love it.
Goodbye.
All right, everyone, we have Nora's contact information in the chat box. If you've got a referral for her, please don't hesitate to send it over. I'm sure they'll be taken care of very well. Okay, what did we learn? What did we learn today? Who wants to jump off?
I didn't learn this because I already knew this, but I love her. I just think she is such an amazing woman. I still remember when she was on stage a couple years ago at the retreat, and she was that exact same way, just enthusiasm, just the energy, you just feel it, when she's talking to you, constantly smiling. It's amazing. It doesn't surprise me that she works with people that speak different languages and they just want to work with her. So what I wrote down, Neil, is energy sells. Mike says this all the time. Energy and enthusiasm will beat just skills every time. And I thought that was great. And I got to tell you, I'm going to cut up that segment where Luis asked her the question about her schedule for the day. And I'm just going to play that on the coaching calls for the next week.
I love it.
And
Can
that
I
was
ask you
was
for
great.
$2,000 for that part, Robert?
Oh man, That was great. I mean, she just went and this and this and this and this and this. And I was like, wow. Imagine if everyone was that structured.
Would be great. Oh, that's
I have
fantastic.
a comment about Nora. I had the pleasure of sitting next to her in upfront seating at one of the superstar retreats for a week. And she is meticulously maintained throughout the day and every day. And I think that's a place where a lot of agents have really allowed it to be a shortcoming, thinking that they could show up, be dressed unprofessionally and still get the job done. But she is the epitome of what a professional woman looks like in the marketplace. And it was just a pleasure to meet her and share some ideas and get some in return. So that was a terrific interview. Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome. You are welcome. All right. Do we have, what else did we learn here?
I don't know if somebody's suffering from the same thing, but for example, I'm an expressive. I don't know if you can tell. So sometimes I feel like it just came up with too much energy. So I felt that I have to just calm down. But hearing Nora, it's kind of like bullshit. I'm sorry, BS. Energy actually sells, and being enthusiasm actually sells. So instead you're just trying to cover it up, you just let it go. So I don't know, it was a good reminder, at least for me, that energy and enthusiasm, it sells.
Energy and enthusiasm sells, okay? Over talent almost every single time, you know, and English as a second language, you know, I was looking forward to this because, you know, she does have a thicker than normal accent. And I think at this point in her career, she actually keeps it rather than tries to get rid of it. Because I do think it plays for her. People have to lean in sometimes. They have to pay attention sometimes, etc. Use it. I mean, it certainly works for her. Queens, New York, you know, 1,200,000, 1,400,000, 80, 90 transactions. Not a bad life. And she seems to be pretty happy. But there you go. Is she happy? I think so. So let's move on from there. What else did we learn today? What else?
Well, I mean, I can keep going. I wrote down here, she said that if you're a brand new agent, you should be practicing the scripts 4 to 6 hours a day because making calls without knowing what to say is useless.
That's
So
right.
it's just a great reminder. We talked about this before the interview started, Neil, or the coaching call I had today, but gotta get the scripts down. You gotta know what to say and how to say it. It's just the way it goes.
A lot of you are on our role play at 8 o'clock in the morning, and yet a lot of you are not. Now we have a number of people at the Tony Robbins event, so there's a few people less today. But we have role play from 8 to 9 o'clock every morning. We go over 35, 40 different scripts we're working and getting better and better and better. We have so many examples. Tomorrow is our 2nd anniversary of COVID. And that's kind of when we started this whole virtual operation. And we've graduated some amazing people who started not very good with the scripts and dialogues, and I would say probably pretty terrible. But over time, a week or 2 or 3, a month, 2 months, 3 months, some cases 6 months, they're just crushing it with the scripts and dialogues and the previewing and property. So join us, be part of it. I put in the chat box the link. If you don't have it, you need it, or you need a code. I don't know that I included the code in there. Just text Robert or myself or anyone on the staff, Cindy, etc. We all know the code. In fact, write this down. It's capital C 21, capital M6. Robert, where did the 6 come from?
I wasn't in that meeting when we came up with a password.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we missed you that day, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't there either because I don't know where the 6 came from. I know the other stuff. All right. Really, really good stuff. Great lady. Always reminds me of what's possible And I love that kind of stuff. Next week, I think it's next week, Robert, we have Josh Barker.
Correct.
Got it. Robert,
Well,
can you make sure that his name is in there?
let me make sure. He's not in the calendar yet.
Yeah, but Alma, are you there? Alma? I don't see Alma.
No, I think she's gone.
No, she's not.
Well, you know what? Show up Thursday at 12:15 next week anyways.
Yeah,
Josh Barker or anyone else.
exactly. We never let you down. How's that?
Yeah.